All right, guys. So we shall now be starting with the revision of chapter number 2. And chapter number 2 is basically audit strategy, audit planning, and audit program. You can see three words here. We have audit strategy, audit planning, and audit program. So what all things do we have to cover in this part of the chapter? If you can see in my chart, what we have done is we are going to take up the basics of audit planning and audit strategy first. Then we shall be covering one very important standard with respect to planning, which is basically SA 300. And towards the end, we shall also be covering one more word, which is audit program. Okay. Now, before I start with this chapter, guys, let me just tell you this in brief, that when I say audit strategy is a broader term. Okay, let me put it in this way. Yeah, audit strategy is going to be a broader term. Okay, based on the audit strategy, the audit plans are made. Okay, and when we make plans for, let's say, individual items of the financial statement, when we make when we list down the procedures that we have to do for each item of the financial statement, let's say for what we have to do specifically for land and building, what is it that we are going to do specifically for, let's say, checking one of the liabilities, then this can be called as programs. Okay, so please remember, strategy word, audit strategy is a broader concept. Okay, and based on the strategy, audit plans are made. Okay, in audit plan, we determine the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures to be performed. FAP, RAP, all these are part of audit plan. And then when we go into more detailed level, of audit procedures that we have to perform, the audit procedures that we have to perform item wise, it is called as audit program. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a summary first, and now let us start, guys, with the concept. Okay, now if you can see, we have audit planning and audit strategy first. So let's read this, guys. Yeah, so we are going to first understand the meaning of the word audit strategy. Okay, and then I'm going to come back to the word audit plan. So first I'm going to take up the meaning of the word audit strategy. Okay, as I told you, it's a broader concept, right? So audit strategy is what it sets out in general terms as to how the audit will be conducted and sets the scope, timing, and direction of audit. When I talk about audit strategy, guys, always remember the three words: scope, timing, and direction of the audit. So it's in set in very general terms. Okay, and of course this audit strategy will help in the development of plan. Okay, so strategy comes first, and based on the strategy, you're going to make your audit plans. Okay, now if I put it in very layman's terms, guys, let's say audit strategies, like if I compare it with your exams, it's like deciding whether you want to go with group 1 and group 2, or both the groups, let's say, for that matter. Okay, and then once you have decided, okay, yeah, we are going to go ahead with both the groups, and these are the number of days we are left with, then you make detailed plan, let's say group wise, etc. And then when you make the more further plans, subject wise, and thereafter also, in each subject, which chapter you have to focus more, and all this will be a part of the program, audit program, right? So it was just an analogy to make you understand that audit strategy is set out in very general terms, that and it will focus on the three words: scope, timing, and direction of audit. Please remember, guys, when you make an audit strategy, when we have the strategy in hand, it will guide us in the development of audit planning. Okay, audit plan. Now, again, I'm going back to the concept of audit planning, guys. What is audit plan? Now, let us first understand this. Okay, so audit planning means we have to plan the audit in advance so that the auditor is able to complete his audit in an effective and efficient manner, in a timely manner. See, in my regular lectures also, if you have attended, we discuss the entire audit process, right? And all of you know this, that we have to plan the audit, right? And only why do we plan the audit? So that when we start the audit, we are actually, we know what we have to do, and we are able to work effectively, efficiently, and we are able to complete our audit on time. So that is why planning has to be done in advance. Okay, and for your understanding, for the theoretical purpose, guys, if you, again, let me take you back to the regular notes. If you remember in the fundamentals part, I mean, just for the sake of understanding, okay, I made you, go through the steps of auditing. And if you can see, we have certain points here. Only in the fifth point we came across this, that yeah, audit has to be planned. Okay, first was, let's say, the appointment of auditor. Then the auditor, upon his appointment, he will determine the scope and objective of the work, and then he is going to understand the client, its environment, including internal controls, assess the risk of material misstatement, and then he is going to sit down and plan the audit based on the kind of misstatements risk which the organization faces. Now this planning, if you see this audit process, it might seem to you as a discrete phase. It might seem to you that yeah, it has to be done only when the ROMS is assessed, and it has to be done prior to you performing audit procedures, right? It might make you feel this, right? However, this is only for the purpose of making you understand the subject, right? It is very theoretical in nature. In practical life, if I tell you guys, you have to understand that planning is not a discrete phase of an audit. It's not one specific phase of audit that yeah, all the planning you have to do it here, and then the concept of planning ends. No, it's not a discrete phase of audit, rather it's a continuous and iterative process. I mean, even though you do majority of the planning prior to starting of the audit, but then during the audit also, and when you apply procedures thereafter also, you might have to do some planning. So always remember guys, that planning is not a discrete phase of auditing, rather it's a continual and iterative process. Okay, now what are the benefits of planning, guys? When we plan things, what is going to happen? So there are 6 benefits of planning that you have to remember, guys. What are the benefits of planning? Number one, so when I plan things in advance, guys, let's say I have a bank audit to do, and when I plan things in advance, I would know, I mean, that okay, these are the areas where I have to focus more, these are the areas where my team members have to pay more attention. So it helps you to devote attention to important areas. Okay, number one. Second, when I have a full audit plan with me, and let's say what happens now, I give the audit plan to my juniors, to my articles, so they will follow the plan. They will follow the plan and they'll do the audit. And then when they find any issues during the audit, they may simply take a note of it, simply take a note of the same along with the procedures that has been mentioned in the plan. And then what is going to happen, if I am the engagement partner, let's say in the evening I visit them, I visit the client's place where my team members are already working, so it will be better for us to identify, understand the issue and resolve it. So identify and resolve problems also on a timely basis. Okay, third is basically organize and manage the audit engagement. Now when I have the entire audit plan, guys, of course it is going to help to better manage the entire audit. I mean, if you remember in essay 230 also, I told you guys, if I give instructions to my juniors, to my articles, the entire instruction is verbally given, they might perhaps not be able to recall more than half of the things when they actually do the audit, right? So when things are written, when we have a concrete plan, when we have a definite plan, what happens, it helps you to organize and manage your audit properly. Okay, and then guys, when we know that yeah, these are the things we have to do, for example, I started this concept with saying that okay, let's say I have a bank audit to do. So when I know that yeah, these are the things that has to be done in this audit, so accordingly this will help me to select the right team members also. Now let's say a bank audit, we have got a very bank audit of a big branch, and it comprises of majority of the business loans, CC account, etc. So in that case, I might feel, oh, I need some expert person. I need a senior article, or my chartered accountant to go with me. I mean, let's say a chartered accountant who is in employment. Okay, so I want him to go with me in the audit, employment in my firm. Okay, so no, don't get confused. So we might have a lot of people in our office, right? So if I have the plan written, it will also help me to select the right team members for the audit. Okay, then again guys, point 2 and point 5 somehow related. When the plan is mentioned, when the plan is well written, when my articles are following the plan, if they find any difficulty, they will write the issues. And also I can also put it in this way, that if we have a proper audit plan, guys, it will help us in facilitating, let's say, direction and supervision of the engagement team members. I'll be able to direct them, I'll be able to supervise their work. And also if we have a proper plan, when we do the planning in advance, we can it will help in ensuring better coordination, guys. Coordination between whom? Sometimes what happens, we might need an expert in the audit. So it's not that, it shouldn't happen that okay, you go to the audit and then you feel, oh, we need an expert, and then you are looking for an expert. It shouldn't happen like this. So when you are trying to understand the entity and its environment, you should be in a position to understand, oh, that yeah, we might need an expert. So coordinate with them in advance. So when you have a proper plan, when you do a good planning for your audit, you will be able to coordinate with the experts also. If let's say it's a big company and they have a lot of components, they have a lot of branches, and the component also has a lot of auditors, so you might have to coordinate with them also. So when you plan things in advance, it helps in better coordination with component auditors as well as experts. Okay, so remember this, guys, this is a very theoretical simple question, but it has been asked a lot of times in the exam. What are the benefits of audit planning? Okay, all right. Now, I started the concept with the topic of audit strategy. I told you audit strategy, guys, is going to be set out in general terms. So, audit strategy is very generic in nature. I mean, it's set out in general terms, and then we become a bit specific. And audit programs are further more specific. Okay. So, now, all right. So, audit planning, we have completed the meaning, we have completed benefits also. Now, let's understand a new topic. What are the elements of audit planning? Okay, and I would want all of you to mark this as important also. What are the elements of planning? Okay, so let's understand this. It's a very simple thing again, guys. When I say elements of planning, we have it can be categorized into two points. Basically, it can be categorized as under, we have preliminary engagement activities, and then we have the main planning activities. Okay, so there are two things. Okay, please understand. When I say audit, what are the elements of audit planning? We have two things. Number one is preliminary engagement activities, and the second one is, now you're actually going to plan the audit planning activities. Okay, now, guys, if you remember, have you heard of this word before, preliminary engagement activities? Yes, everyone in the chat box, please write if you have heard about preliminary engagement activities. Yes, what is preliminary engagement activities, guys? Preliminary engagement activities is something, guys, perhaps which we must have covered. If you remember, we covered this as a part of 200 and SA 220 also. Do you remember that I told you that you just won't randomly accept any client as your any person as your client, right? We have to check upon their integrity, we have to see, we have to understand their business operations. All these points we had covered. So if you see, when I say elements of planning, we have two things. Preliminary engagement activities, that means things which you have to do before, let's say, even accepting the audit and all. And then once you accept the audit, what are the things we have to do, which will be a part of planning activities, right? So what are preliminary engagement activities? Now, mark preliminary engagement activities specifically is important. Okay, so let's say it says perform procedures to assess the continuance of a client relationship as per SA 220. So whether you would want to accept the client or whether you would want to continue the client, you have to decide on this as per SA 220. And very quickly, if you are able to recall, let me just try and open again the chart with respect to, yes, this one. If you see 220, the requirements, if you can see acceptance and uh, continuance of client relationship, I told you what are the things that you are going to see. If you can see now on the notes, we have these points, guys. Number one is integrity of the principal owners. You are going to see whether your team has competence and capabilities or not. Then compliance with relevant ethical requirements, and also if you know, if in the previous audit you came across any significant matter, all these things, right? So yes, coming back to the chapter now. So when I say planning activities, the number one thing is preliminary engagement activities, and here you have to understand this part. Perform procedures to assess continuance of client relationship as per 220. So I've just made you, go through the points of 220 also. Again, evaluate compliance with ethical requirements, specifically with respect to independence, again as per 220, whether you'll be able to whether will you be independent or not, whether you'll be able to follow all the requirements of the code of ethics, etc. And then establish an understanding. Do you remember in asset 210 what did I tell you, that you are only going to accept an audit when the preconditions to an audit are present, as well as we have the common understanding. So only when the preconditions and common understanding is there, you are going to accept the audit. So as a part of preliminary engagement activities, you even have to check this aspect: establish an understanding of the terms of engagement as mandated by 210. So this is basically, guys, part of preliminary engagement activities, right? And the most important thing now, sir, we are learning audit plan, right? So what is it actually that we do in audit planning? What are the planning activities, guys? So when I say planning activities, we have to do two things. Number one, guys, we have to formulate the overall audit strategy. I mean, audit strategy is going to come first, and then we are going to develop a detailed audit plan. So we are going to learn more about this in essay 300. 300 is about planning, right? So in essay 300 we shall learn that yes, we are going to make the audit strategy first, and then we are going to make a detailed overall audit plan. Okay, so remember, guys, I feel this can be an important topic. What are the elements of planning? So remember two elements: preliminary engagement activities and planning activities. In fact, they may separately ask you what are the preliminary engagement activities. So please remember, client continuation, you have to decide acceptance and client continuation as per 220. Then whether you will be independent, you will be able to comply with the ethical requirements again as per SA 220. Then acceptance of the assign engagement as per SA 210, agreeing the terms of audit engagement, right? So yes, preliminary engagement activities done. Now coming back to the topic of audit strategy, guys. So we have covered, see, we have covered the benefits of audit planning, right? Similarly, we have a topic on what are the benefits of audit strategy. So now we shall be covering the topic of benefits of audit strategy. Okay, now if you can see in your module also, guys, the benefits of audit strategy basically are given from the perspective of resources. Okay, so it says audit strategy will assist the auditor in determining four things. Audit strategy will help the auditor in determining four things. What are the four things? Number one, resources to deploy for specific audit areas. That means what type of people, what kind of people would be needing for the audit. I mean, do we need a lot of skilled people here, or I need to have experienced team member, or is it an easy thing a beginner would also be able to do? I need to decide on that. So when I have the overall audit strategy, it helps me to basically know about the kind of people I would be needing in this particular audit engagement. Number one. Then how many of them we would be needing? So second is amount of resources that we have to have. So amount of resources to allocate to specific audit areas. That means how many number of team members we would be needing, etc. How many number of hours should we be spending on the this particular audit? So this is basically amount of resources. Third, when do we need them? Third is when the resources are to be deployed. So if it is a interim audit, guys, we would be needing somewhere in the middle of the year. If it is at the cutoffs at the financial year end, so we might be needing them towards the end of the year. So when you have the audit strategy in place, it gives you a clarity. It helps the auditor to determine all these things. What are the things? Three things we have just covered, guys. Number one, what type of resources do we need? Number one. Second, how many of them do we need? That means amount of resources. Third is when do we actually need them? And finally, the fourth one is if we have all these resources, how are we going to manage those resources? So the fourth one says how such resources are managed, directed, supervised. That means, either through team meetings, or there will be certain reviews, quality control reviews, etc. All right. So remember, guys, this question has also been asked in the exam. You have to be very careful with respect to both benefits. I mean, whether they're asking you benefits of audit strategy or they're asking you benefits of audit plan, please read the question carefully and accordingly answer. Remember, when I say benefits of audit planning, there are 6 points, and when I say benefits of audit strategy, the points are more or less with respect to resources. It will help the auditor to determine the type of resources we need, when do we need them, how many of the resources do we need, I mean, how much of let's say quantity of the resources, and how do we manage those resources. All right, so it will give a clarity if you make an audit strategy, right? Okay, so the basics of audit planning and audit strategy is done, guys. We have covered. Now a very simple concept which I have already told you, and you must probably now understand this, that do you think there is a relationship between audit strategy and audit plan? Of course the answer is yes. And if I again go theoretically, guys, what is it that is going to come first? What do you think? Should we be making audit strategy first, right? And then when we make an audit strategy, it is going to help us in the development of audit plan. So this is basically what happens, right? So there is a relationship, of course, between audit strategy and audit plan. So let's read about this now. It says establishment of overall audit strategy. E- Establishment of overall audit strategy and detailed audit plan, they are not discrete or sequential phases. Now theoretically I can say that yeah, strategy is going to come first and then thereafter you have to make the audit plan. But again, it's just for making you understand, guys. In practical life, the two things go hand in hand. I mean, it's not like that you have to first make strategy and then only you have to make a plan. They will be made together also. Okay, so it says they are very closely interrelated, and of course change in one would lead to consequential change in another. Like if my strategy changes, of course I'll have to make changes in the plan, right? Now imagine earlier you had a strategy of studying for both the groups. Now you have come down to just one group. So don't you think your level of planning, I mean the way you are going to approach and study each subject, is going to change? Of course yes. So remember, when there is a change in strategy, it would lead to a change in your plan also. Okay, now remember this line again, I'm reading, guys. Establishment of overall audit strategy and detailed audit plan are not discrete or sequential phases. In most cases, guys, in practical life, the two would go hand in hand. Okay, done. So if you see, we have covered the concepts of audit planning strategy, and we have also covered the relationship between audit strategy and audit plan. Done. First part of the chapter is already over. Okay, now we are going to further read about these two things, strategy and audit plan, and we are going to now take it up in the standard SA 300. SA 300 is basically planning and audit of financial statements. We are going to learn here as to how the planning of audit should be done. Okay, so here what is it that we have to cover? Let's quickly understand. Yeah. So in this standard, if you can see, we are going to learn two basic things. I mean, first is basic thing. Why do we have to study this standard? The objective. And then as you can see on the screen, we have got five requirements to cover. Okay, it's a very easy standard, but a very important one as well. Okay, so why do we need to study the standard of audit planning? I mean, planning and audit of financial statement. What is the objective? What is going to be taught to you in this particular standard? So it says this standard, the objective is to plan the audit so that it will be performed in an effective manner. So this standard is basically going to tell us that yeah, you have to plan the audit in advance so that you are able to do it or perform the audit effectively, right? We can complete the audit on a timely manner, right? Done. So the basic is done, and now let us, guys, start with the requirements of SA 300. Very very simple standard. So we have got five requirements, guys. If you can see, involvement of key engagement team members, we learn about planning activities. Now this planning activities is the main topic of the entire standard. I mean, this standard is going to teach us how to plan the audit, right? So the planning activities is the core area of this standard, wherein we are going to learn that yes, we have to make the audit strategy first, and then what is it that we are going to make in the audit plan. So all these things we are going to learn. Then we'll talk about if there is any change in your planning decision, about direction, supervision and review, and finally about documentation. Okay, so let's start with the first requirement, guys. Involvement of key engagement team members. Now the first thing that should come into your mind, perhaps, I mean, you should be curious to know who is going to make the audit plan, who is going to overall plan the audit, who is going to make the entire planning for the audit. So you always have to remember that, guys, it will be the engagement partner and also other key members of the audit team. Why is it important to include the other key members? So that, guys, it should not be like a surprise to them that okay, only engagement partner made the entire plan and then he's distributing the plan to the key members that you have to follow this plan. No, I mean, if the key members are involved in the planning stage itself, with the engagement partner, they would overall understand the audit better. They would have a better understanding of the entire things to be done in the audit. So it's important that along with engagement partner, we have other key members also who are involved in the planning part. Done. Okay, next, planning activities. Now please mark this as important, because this is the heart, this is the core of the standard. Okay, now I have been telling you this. When I say planning activities, guys, we have two things to do. I mean, first we are going to make an audit strategy, and after the audit strategy is made, we'll learn about the audit plan. Okay, so if you can see, yes, there are two things that we have to understand. Yeah, it says auditor shall set the overall audit strategy that sets the scope, timing, and direction of audit. STD, scope, timing, and direction of audit, and that is actually going to guide in the development of audit plan. So there are, when I say planning activities, guys, we have two things. If you can see, one is audit strategy, and then we have description, we have the audit plan. So first audit strategy, and then we have audit plan. Okay, so let's learn first more about audit strategy. The basics I've already told you, right? We covered this here. What is audit strategy? Let me just make you go through the definition again. It sets out in general terms as to how the audit will be conducted. Okay, yeah, it sets out in general terms as to how the audit will be conducted, and it sets the scope, timing, and direction of the audit. And then please remember, audit strategy, it's a very important line. Audit strategy guides the development of the audit plan, right? Keeping this in mind, let's understand about audit strategy, guys. There are a lot of things that we have to cover here, right? So yeah, we have already understood the meaning. Now we are going to learn as to how the auditor should establish overall audit strategy. So let's say, guys, you are the auditor of a company and you are making the overall audit strategy. What are the things that you should keep in mind? What are the considerations for making the overall audit strategy? Very, very important question. One of the favorites of ICI. Okay, so I have put a star mark also, if you can see. It says, in establishing the overall audit strategy, when you are establishing the overall audit strategy, what all things you should be considering, guys. So it says the auditor shall, there are 5 points, if you can see. I am just going to read the points first. Number one, the auditor shall identify the characteristics of the engagement. You have to know what kind of engagement it is. I mean, it's a tax audit, it's a statutory audit. You have to know the basics about the engagement. What is the accounting period that they are following, whether they are following from April to March, or whether they are following calendar year January to December. What is the reporting currency do they that they are using, whether they report in INR or they are using US dollars. So all these basic things you have to know about the engagement. So we'll learn more about it, but for the moment, just remember, number one is, when you are making an overall audit strategy, you have to know, you have to identify the characteristics of the engagement. Number one. Second, you have to know the reporting objective. I mean, whether it's a statutory audit, so of course after the end of the year you have to prepare a report. If it is an interim audit, if you know, you'll have to give the report somewhere in between the year, right? So ascertain the reporting objectives. So you need to know the reporting objectives of the engagement, so that you can plan the timing of audit and nature of communications. So we'll learn more about reporting objectives. Then we have to understand some factors which are significant in directing the engagement team's efforts. So we need to know, okay, in this particular audit, what factors would be very much significant. I mean, those areas wherein I would want my team members to focus more. Okay, read the point again. Consider the factors that are significant in directing the engagement team's efforts, and also you'll have to consider the results of preliminary engagement activities. Again, see, we have this word preliminary engagement activities. And also, guys, when you are making an overall audit strategy for this particular audit, let's say, you would also use the knowledge that you have gained through other assignments, right? So when we are making an overall audit strategy for this particular audit, we are going to consider the results of the preliminary engagement activities, and at the same time, whatever knowledge we have obtained from other engagements. And then also, when I'm making an overall audit strategy, guys, I would want to know whether I have the right number of people to do the audit, whether I have the necessary skilled employees to do the audit, and whether I'll be able to manage my people time or not. So last point is ascertain the nature, timing, and extent of resources. It's not audit procedure. Generally, when we read NTE, nature, timing, and extent, we generally use these three words in context of audit procedures, right? But here, ascertain the nature, timing, and extent of resources necessary to perform the engagement. So basically you'll get to know. If you remember the benefits of audit strategy, I told you it is with respect to resources only, right? That how much resources, how many resources you need, and what type of resources you need, when do you need them, how will you manage them. So all these things you have to keep in mind. Okay, again, what are the 5 points? What is it that we just covered, guys? So when you are establishing the overall audit strategy of a company for a client, let's say, what are the things that you have to keep in mind? Sir, characteristics of the engagement. Then second, what are the reporting objectives? Third, what are the factors which is going to be significant in directing my engagement team's efforts? Fourth is basically the results of the preliminary engagement activities, and of course if I have some knowledge from other engagements. And finally, the I'll have to ascertain the nature, timing, and extent of resources that would be required, that would be necessary to perform the engagement. Okay, now, so it's a very simple question, it's a very straightforward question, but then guys, you have to understand the words in a detailed manner. So when I say identify the characteristics of engagement, what does this characteristics of engagement even mean? So it says, I have just given certain examples. These are examples, you don't have to learn them, but yeah, it is there as a part of your I say material also, it is there. And what when I say identify characteristics of the engagement, what does it mean? It simply means, guys, you have to understand the financial reporting framework which is applicable on them. If there is any industry specific requirement, like, of course, this is a revision session, right? You must have covered the chapter of bank audit also. Did you cover there the concept of LFAR, long form audit report? Now, long form audit report is a report which is industry specific, which is peculiar to a bank, right? The banks are required to have that report, LFAR. I mean, the auditors of the bank are required to make that LFAR report. Auditor of a normal company who is into trading or manufacturing, we don't have to prepare LFAR, right? But then what I'm trying to tell you is, when you are making an overall strategy for the audit of an entity, you need to know, oh, what are your reporting requirements? Do you have any industry specific reporting to be done or not? So these are all what characteristics of engagement. You have to understand the audit coverage. I mean, when you are making a strategy for a company, guys, of course you would want to know how many branches does this company have, and from how many countries is this company operating. All these things you need to know, so that you can plan on the coverage of the audit. And if they have a lot of branches, if they have a lot of components, let's say, you might have to coordinate with their component auditors. So this is also a part, coordination with other auditors. Then what reporting currency are they using? Do they even have a department of internal audit? Because if they have internal audit department, somehow you can be a bit happy. Why? Because ultimately, if they have an internal audit department, their internal controls, the chances of their internal controls to be good will be high. And if their internal controls are better, the chances of misstatements in the financial statements might be low. And ultimately, you all know this, that internal auditors ultimately contribute to the work of external auditors, right? Somehow. So we would be, of course, curious to know, as statutory auditors, whether this particular organization has got internal audit department or not. So these are some examples of characteristics of the engagement. You should be knowing about all these things, and then only, guys, you will be able to make the audit strategy. Yes or no? Right now, imagine a person doesn't know, a student doesn't know how many subjects are there in each group, and he's making a strategy that, yes, I have to clear both groups. Or you need to know first how many papers are there in each group. Okay, and what is the extent of the coverage, and also then only probably you will be able to make a good strategy, right? That's how this is. You have to understand the characteristics of the engagement. Now, second is ascertain the reporting objectives. So what do you mean by reporting objectives? Again, let's understand the example. It simply means, let's say, the reporting timetable. When I say reporting timetable, what does it mean? When I say reporting timetable, it means, guys, when you are making your audit strategy, it should not happen that they want the audit report immediately. Let's say they are looking for a statutory audit, and you have made your plan for interim audit. No. So your planning should be in alignment with the timetable. I mean, align with the entity's reporting timetable. Then, guys, we have to make a lot of communication. It says, read the headings properly. It says ascertain the reporting objectives of the engagement, and also nature of communications. So during the audit, guys, I mean, um, we have to do a lot of communications, right? So it says, the point says, communicate with the management regarding expected reports and audit work status. I mean, talk to the management. Oh, what kind of reports are they expecting? Accordingly you are going to make a strategy. You have to make a communication within your team members also. It says determine the nature and timing of team communications and meetings, and then we might also have the need to communicate with third parties. Who could be third parties, guys? It could be addressing any statutory or contractual reporting responsibilities. It could be anyone. In fact, communication with third parties, it could be with some experts also, right? We can in fact have a communication with the external legal counsel as well, right? So these are all the communication requirements. Okay, then after this, if you can see, what are the third and the fourth points, guys, to be kept in mind. Third and fourth, we are going to collectively study. If you can see, I have a bracket here, right? So we are going to now understand examples of what could be the factors which are very much significant in directing engagement teams efforts. Now, for example, materiality level. Of course, I need to tell all my team members that, yeah, this is the materiality level, and accordingly we are plan and we'll do the audit, right? So some examples we are going to cover, and also consider the results of preliminary engagement activities. Okay, and if you have gained any knowledge from the other engagements. Okay, so let's read these the examples of these 2 points. We have a lot of example. Let's say materiality level. Now it's a very significant thing, right? And when we come across materiality level, we have to know guide, we have to tell our entire team about the materiality level, and accordingly they are going to put in their efforts. So it says establish appropriate materiality levels. Then risk identification, identify areas of higher risk of material misstatement. So on areas where the risk of material misstatement is high, of course it's a significant matter. Now for example, if I talk about bank audit. Okay, so probably somebody who's experienced in bank audit, I would ask them to handle the loans and advances part. Somebody who's very much a beginner, I would ask them to check other things. Maybe let's say check whether compliance of KYC has been done. I mean, KYC norms have been complied with the opening of these savings accounts. It's a very easy thing to check, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is read the point carefully. It says consider the factors that are significant in directing engagement teams efforts. Which area should they focus more on? So of course, these factors are going to be important. We'll direct the engagement team's efforts based on materiality, based on the risk of material misstatement. Okay, I would also ask them to be to be alert throughout the audit. So emphasize the need for questioning mind and professional skepticism. Even I can even check the previous audit report, consider findings from the previous audit, especially regarding whether the internal controls were effective or not. Okay, now guys, when I say consider the results, if we have combined both the points 3 and 4 here. Okay, so guys, let's say uh, yes, you can mention here this aspect, that when you're seeing the previous audit reports, or let's say how committed the management is uh, towards the internal controls, you can use all these aspects also. Let's say you were doing the audit of this company only previous year, you would have gain an understanding about all these aspects, right? So these are certain examples of point 3 and 4. And finally, when I see say point number 5, ascertain the nature, timing, and extent of the resources necessary to perform the engagement. What does this mean? It means, guys, we have to have appropriate team members. We have to select the right team members for this particular audit engagement. So choose an appropriate member of the engagement team, and allocate audit tasks effectively among audit members. It should not happen that I have a team of 5 6 people, 2 of them are always free and 4 of them are overburdened. So we have to allocate also properly based on the experience, based on the knowledge they have. And uh, guys, we have to have a budget also. I can't just ask 20 employees of mine to just go in one audit, right? When we fix on the audit fees, of course everything would be budgeted. How many staff will be going to the audit, how many hours they would be putting in the audit. So all this has to be planned. See, we do the audit, it's not a charity work, right? Of course, we have to do the audit effectively, efficiently. We have to maintain the quality of the audit, as well as we have to make decent profits also, right? So we have to make budgets, right? All right, so done. This was the most important topic, guys, of the entire essay 300. Okay, again I'm telling you what is it that we covered. We are studying the planning activities, and in the planning activities, guys, the number one thing that we have to do is we have to make audit strategy. Okay, what is audit strategy? You already know. Audit strategy is basically set out in general terms. It tells us basically about the STD, scope, timing, and direction of the entire audit. strategy helps in or guides in the development of audit plan. All these basics you already know, but this question super important. What is it? How, what are the considerations, or let's say what are the points to be kept in mind when you are making the overall audit strategy? So 5 factors you have to keep in mind. Okay, again repeating: characteristics of the engagement, reporting objectives and the nature of communication, factors that are significant in directing engagement team's efforts. Fourth is basically consideration of the results of preliminary engagement activities. And the last one is about the resources, the nature, timing, and extent of resources. How much, how many of the resources you need, ascertain the NTE of resources. Done? Great. Now, once this audit strategy is made, guys, I have been telling you this. After the audit strategy, after the development of overall audit strategy, now it is going to help us, it is going to guide us in the development of overall audit plan. So when I say audit plan, what is audit plan? What will it include? Audit plan is basically, guys, three things. So nature, timing, and extent. We have to plan for the nature, timing, and extent of RAP. RAP is something that we do in accordance with 315. RAP is what? Risk assessment procedures. And why do you even do RAP, guys? Because when we do an RAP, it will help us to identify, I mean, and assess the risk of material misstatement. Risk assessment procedures will help us to basically assess the risk of material misstatement. And on the basis of the risk of material misstatement that you have assessed, we are going to further plan our audit. We are going to go with further audit procedures. So nature, timing, and extent of further audit procedures as per 330. What is included in further audit procedures, guys? We have the test of controls, we have the substantive procedures, right? Okay. And next is any other planned procedure. So when I say audit plan means, guys, this is the RAP we have to do, these are the FAPs we have to do for the entire audit. Okay, now our standard only refers to the word strategy and audit plan. Okay, in our ICA material separately the word audit program is given. And generally, I mean, internationally the word audit program is not considered. Audit plan is only a more popular word. I mean, if you make a very detailed audit plan, it could be item wise, right? I can make an audit plan for land and building, but if I'm making an audit plan for only land and building, in our ICA material we are calling it as audit program. Okay, so many times, guys, I mean, audit, the two words that is used globally internationally is audit strategy and audit plan. Okay, all right. Now, I have told you, okay, again, let me just discuss. All of you know this, that audit strategy and audit plan are related. And change in one would consequentially, I mean, would lead to some consequential changes in the other, right? Now, guys, it might sometimes happen that you have made an overall audit strategy, you have assessed the ROMS, and then when you start the audit, okay, you might have to make changes in your plan. Okay, so let's understand, there is a topic: changes to planning decisions. It says auditor shall update and change the overall audit strategy and the audit plan during the course of audit. Now, one common thing I'll just discuss, guys. Let's say uh, we had assessed ROMS at this level, this hypothetical example, at this level. Okay, and accordingly we made our plans for further audit procedures, that these are the test of control, substantive procedures. But then when I actually did the test of controls, I found that none of the controls are effective, none of the controls are operating properly. Now the earlier ROMS that you had assessed at this level, now actually it is at this level. Now because your ROMS has increased, okay, your planning, your further audit procedures would also change, right? So during the course of audit also there might be changes in our planning decision. I did tell you this, guys, okay, if you remember in the basics part, that when I talk about audit planning, the majority of the planning would be done prior to you starting the audit. But then audit planning is, remember, it's a continuous process, it's an iterative process, it will go on almost till the end of the audit. Okay, all right. So next is about direction, supervision, and review. Direction, supervision, and review. Now, guys, it says auditor shall plan. We also have to plan as to how much direction or supervision or review we have to do in a particular audit. Now, I'll just give you one example. Let's say, guys, in this particular audit, I am sending two of my most experienced team members. Now, when I'm sending two of my most experienced team members, you only tell me the extent of my direction, review, and supervision would be high or low when I'm sending very experienced persons. Yes, everyone in the chat box. Yes, it would be low. But then let's say they are very much, they are very new persons who have joined the CA firm. They have just, cleared group 1 and group 2, and they have just started their articleship. So maybe I won't be relying on their work much. I have to give them proper direction. There will be more supervision and review, right? Similarly, if let's say it's an easy audit, there are only two transactions that happen in the entire company, very simple, that two bank transaction and one expense. So maybe in that case, the extent of direction review supervision will not be very high. But then if it is a very complex audit, automatically the direction review supervision would be high. So we have a topic here, guys, that it says yes, you have to plan, the nature, timing, extent of direction and supervision, right? However, what are the factors on the basis of which you would plan? So this can be an important question. Remember, very simple, four points we have to understand. Number one, how much direction review supervision we have to do depends on the size and complexity of the entity, and it also depends on what area of the audit they are doing. Now, for example, let's say it's a bank audit, and I have asked them to check loans and advances, and I've asked few of them to go through the KYC compliances part with respect to savings account. So my review supervision would also be more in case of loans and advances, because that is a very important area in the entire audit. So what area of audit they are checking, again, it is a important factor whether I have to review and supervise their work. If one item has higher ROMMS, if let's say the SS risk or material misstatement is high, automatically my extent of review supervision would be higher. And also, how much work should of my team members should I be reviewing, directing, supervising? It also depends, guys, on the competence of my team members. If they are quite experienced, the nature, timing, and extent of direction supervision review would be less. Okay, so remember these factors, very very important, but a easy topic. Okay, and guys, last is documentation, and with which we are going to complete our standard. What all things are you going to document? You only tell me. Are you going to document as a part of your documentation? Are you going to document your overall audit strategy? Yes, sir. Are we going to document our audit plan? Yes, sir. And if you make any changes in overall audit strategy or your audit plan, you're going to make changes of the same. You're going to make a record of the same along with the reasons as to why you changed your strategy, why you made changes in your plan. That's it. So with this, if you see a very simple standard, SA 300 is over. And again, what all things did we cover here? We have just covered, guys. I mean, my majority of the time, I mean, in the entire standard, I just, devoted on the planning activities, because this is the heart of the standard. Rest points are very, very simple. Okay. All right. Now, if you have understood audit planning and audit strategy, we have covered, guys, SA 300 also. Let's just cover the last part of the chapter. The last part of the chapter is basically audit program. Okay. So we are now going to learn about audit program, and what all topics do we have to cover about audit program? So we have, it's a theoretical topic, guys. So these are the things that we have to cover about audit program. First, we are going to understand the meaning of audit program. Then what are the points to be considered in constructing an audit program? So when you are making an audit program, what are the things we have to consider? What could be advantages and disadvantages of audit program? Remember, I mean, in audit planning and audit strategy, we read the benefits, right? But in case of audit program, in our ICA material, it is given advantages and disadvantages. And then there are few miscellaneous points also with respect to audit program. So it's very much theoretical, but very easy for your understanding. Okay. Now, what is audit program, guys? I told you it's a series. It's series of verification procedures to be applied to financial statements. Series of verification procedures, and you have to apply it on the financial statements, the accounts, to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, ultimately which will enable the auditor to express a opinion. So these are basically, in very layman's terms, I can say they are basically item wise verification steps. Item wise verification steps that the auditor will apply to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, and on the basis of which he is going to form conclusions and thereby give his opinion. So just remember, item wise audit procedures, item wise series of verification steps that we do. Okay. All right. Now, guys, few points I have to discuss. I'll take up the miscellaneous portion first. Okay. Now, remember this: when we make audit programs, guys, okay, it's not a universal thing that I make one audit program and it is going to be applicable for all the entities that I audit. No, each entity is quite unique. Each entity is different. Their ways of operation is different. The way the kind of business they are into is different. So we can't come up with one audit program which is going to be applicable for all entities, right? So it says evolving one audit program. It's not practicable for all business. Why? businesses are different, the management is different, the internal controls they have is different. So we can't just have one audit program which is going to be like, applicable to all the entities that we audit. We have to make audit programs specific to the entities that we audit. And guys, it's if you make once, it's not like that you make audit program once and it's going to help you lifetime. Okay, it's, of course it's an asset for us when we do the audit, but then uh, you have to ensure that the audit program that you had made is still relevant. Okay, so when you are doing the audit, guys, we have to ensure that our audit program that we have made is updated from time to time, incorporate all the recent changes and developments so that it is relevant to us. So just one thing you have to remember, that you have to periodically review your audit program. One audit program that you had made 10 years ago might not be very much relevant in this financial year. So you have to assess the relevance, and it would be relevant only when you keep on updating it. So this is again another point, that you have to review your audit program and incorporate the necessary changes so that it stays relevant. And basic things. Okay, now let's say, guys, you are making an audit program. Okay, when you are making an audit program, again, this is one of the favorite questions of ICI. Okay, so what all things do we have to consider? So it says constructing, it says the points, the question that we are discussing is, what are the points to be considered in constructing audit program? So number one is stay within the scope of assignment. Guys, what happens, what is the meaning, what is the meaning of the word scope? Scope means the areas. I mean, when you're making an audit program, include only those areas which you have to check in the audit. Don't go beyond the scope of audit. I mean, don't include those things which is not required to be checked in the audit. Right now, let's say one of my companies, they don't have inventory. I mean, they are a totally service based company, they don't have any inventory, let's say. So will I include a checklist, a audit program with respect to inventory? No, it's not even in the scope of audit, right? I mean, the item is not there, so doesn't it's not a good thing to have it in our audit program. Why to unnecessary create more complications, right? So we have to stay within the scope of assignment and ensure, guys, when I say audit program, it need not be a verbal audit program, it has to be written. Okay, else again the same thing will happen. I say everything, all the verification steps to my article verbally, and then he's going to forget 50% of the things for sure, more than 50% of the things rather. Okay, then guys, we have to, when I say audit program, what is it? I mean, in very layman's terms, we are writing down what? We are writing down the steps to be performed, right? The series of verification steps that the auditor will apply, right? So, guys, for one particular item of the financial statements, there can be n number of ways, there can be different ways of getting audit evidence. But then it says determine evidence easily available and identify the best evidence. So in your audit program, you should include those procedures which will help you to get the evidence easily, and which is, through which you can get the best evidence. So you have to keep this in mind. Then also, when we apply procedures, guys, when we are applying procedures, it's a human thing, right? It's a manual thing, there might be chances of errors. So include those procedures wherein the chances of errors is less. I mean, the chances of us doing the errors is less. So it says consider the possibility of errors also. Okay, next, coordinate the procedures to be applied to related items. Now when we are making our audit program, let's say we have an audit program for fixed assets, and then we have a separate program for depreciation. These two things are related, so we have to make, ensure that there is coordination. Coordinate the procedures to be applied to related items. And it says, guys, see, your audit program should basically be detailed enough that it gives instructions to the articles, it helps the assistants, they can read the audit program and they understand, okay, these are the steps that we have to do. It should not have information which is let's say very less, and which doesn't help the articles or assistants. It should not have information, in lot of details also, which unnecessarily will make it bulkier. But then we must make an audit program in such a manner that at least incorporate that basic information which is going to assist the article assistants to perform the audit properly. That's it. So these are some of the points, guys, that should be kept in mind while constructing the audit program. Okay, all right. Now, if you have the audit program, what are the advantages and what will be the disadvantages. Let us learn about the advantages and disadvantages. Okay, now what could be the advantages of audit program, guys? Again, there are 7 8 points here, 7 points. Okay, let me just tell you this again. Audit planning, we had 6 benefits. Audit strategy, we covered 4 benefits, and the 4 benefits all were with respect to resources. And this one again, we have got 7 advantages, or let's say 7 benefits of audit program. So number one benefit is, if we have the audit program, guys, it serves as clear set of instructions. It provides clear set of instructions to article assistants. They would be comfortable to do the audit because all the instructions are written there. Land and building, this is what you have to do first, then second this, third this. So gives a comfort level to the people doing the audit. Okay, then guys, did I not tell you, if I have a proper audit plan, audit program, I would know, okay, these are the things we have to do here. Oh, you are a new person, probably you might not be able to do it. You do it next year when you gain experience this year. So I would have to send somebody experienced to check this aspect. So when you have the audit program written, you know what are the things to be done. It will help you also to select the right team members for the assignment. So the point says helps in selection of assistants. Okay. Now, helps in establishing accountability of work. Probably, if you are able to recall, we covered all these aspects in essay 230, also documentation, right? So when you have your working papers, when you have the audit program, I told you, if somebody is verifying the inventory, the article is going to put his initials there. And this establishes what? Accountability. Later on, 3 months later also, if I have some issues with inventory, I can see, oh, this article has done the verification of inventory. So I would ask him the doubts, right? So it establishes accountability. And very important again, provides a total perspective of the work. Provides a total perspective of the work. What does it mean, guys? I mean, imagine it this way. Let's say this is the entire audit program, okay, which my boss has given to me. So I know, oh, these are the things which we have to cover. It gives a total perspective, right? If you have a book, like let's say you have this index also, the index part gives you what? It gives you a total perspective that, okay, in audit we have 11 chapters. Sir has included chapter 0 also, fundamentals. I mean, it gives you a total perspective, right? So you see the number of pages that you have to study. So this audit program also, when it is given to some auditors, the team members, it gives them a total idea that, okay, these are the things they have to check. And it serves as a guide for audits in the succeeding year. The same plan, of course, you can use it in the next year also. Okay, now imagine, guys, if I would have told you, if I would have given you the instructions verbally to do the audit, you would have missed out on so many important things, right? But then what happens if I have a written audit program? It fifth advantage is basically what? The danger of overlooking and ignoring certain areas is less when we have written audit program. So you would not miss out on important things. You would not overlook or ignore certain areas. Okay, and then, guys, I told you this, right? It gives you a total perspective of the work. Let's say you have 11 chapters and you are already, you know that, yeah, you are done with 5 chapters. So you know your progress, right? So similarly in audit, if we have an audit program, it will be easy for the engagement partner and all to trace the progress, basically to what extent have we been able to complete the audit. So it helps to check the progress of audit. And then, guys, I have been telling you this, that the inherent limitations of audit is not going to save you. You have to prove that you did the audit properly. You have to maintain the documentation. And when I say you have to maintain the documentation, what things are you going to show to the authorities when they come and point finger at you that you did not do the audit properly? Sir, see our audit program. We have included everything. We check this aspect. We check this aspect. We have complied with the requirements of standards on auditing. We have even complied with the requirements of companies that. So audit program is going to help you. What it says, properly drawn up audit program serves as evidence if any charge of negligence is brought against the auditor. So you would be able to prove that, no, we did the audit properly. Okay, so if any charge of negligence is brought up against the auditor, you can use this audit program as a evidence. Okay, so these are the 7 advantages, guys, of audit program. And there are certain disadvantages as well. What are the disadvantages, guys? Sometimes what happens is that I have seen this a lot of times. I ask my article to, let's say, do this procedure, and we have an audit program for that. So he will just merely follow the audit program. He would not understand the logic as to why sir had asked me to perform this procedure, and upon performing this procedure, what is going to happen. So what happens many a times, because of the audit program, the work becomes very mechanical. Okay, and then it makes you inflexible also. No, 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 as per our audit program we have to first check fixed assets, and then only we have to check this, and then only we have to do so. Because instructions are written there, it might make you inflexible also. And then also what happens is, let's say, I'll give a very simple example. Okay, let's say you did the audit and later on there was some issue, and then I asked, hey, you did not check this, it's been a month, you have not checked this. No, no, sir, this was not a part of our audit program. It was like, Arey, this is a basic thing, you have to check it. I know it is a basic thing, but was it given in your audit program? Whose fault is this, sir? You only tell me. I mean, what is going to happen? The some of the assistants, some of the inefficient assistants may take shelter behind the audit program. Okay, they'll say, "Hey, sir, in your audit program only this was not mentioned. You should have told me that I have to check TDS, whether TDS was deducted on the payments or not. I did not check it." Okay. And sometimes what happens, let's say, guys, the articles, they understand things and all. Some articles might be very intelligent, might be very creative also, and they have better ways of doing the audit. Let's say they have a better procedure to do the audit, but then they will not be able to apply the same. Why? Because it is not mentioned in the audit program. So it kills the initiatives of the efficient assistants also. Okay, so we have these disadvantages, and with this, if you see, we have completed all the topics of audit program also, meaning points to be considered in constructing the audit program. We have covered advantages, disadvantages, and the miscellaneous part as well. And now with this, we have completed, guys, chapter number two's revision. We have completed in detail all the topics with respect to audit plan, audit strategy, SA 300, and also audit program.